Hello, I'm currently in Oxford University's parks. I'm in the university gardens. Um, you are currently balanced on my shoes, but I thought that while I'm eating my lunch, I have this lovely wrap from Najar's place. While I'm eating my wrap, I wanted to talk about my second year at Minerva University. So I am an M27, and the last year I have been living in Taipei and Seoul. So mostly in East Asia. I'm originally from Japan and the UK, like I'm mixed race. So it was really interesting to experience living in East Asia for the first time when I usually have grown up in England. And I've spent basically the whole day walking around Oxford's amazingly beautiful, extremely old campus. And so I feel so jealous when I think about the fact that my university has no campus. I have to say, it has been an incredible year of school, and I would not give up my university for the world, even when I am sitting in Oxford right now and looking at all of the lovely facilities and the people, the community, the uniforms. Because if you don't know Minerva very well, it's basically a university that moves countries every semester. So it's based in San Francisco. I spent the first year in San Francisco. I have another video about that. And you move to up to 7 different cities. So the first one is SF, and then there's also Hyderabad, Taipei, Seoul. They just added Tokyo, Buenos Aires, and Berlin. There used to be London, but I think London is gone now. Rest in peace. So the point of the school is that you are trying to immerse yourselves into different cultures, and that pushes you to change and grow over time, which is supposedly more effective than just staying in one place. You'll take all of your classes on a platform called Forum, and it's a very interactive platform. It's very high pressure and not like a Zoom meeting whatsoever. It really feels like you are on the spot in this not quite a lecture, not quite a discussion. It's supposed to be active learning, so you're participating in the classes more. And I'm currently a business major and also doing philosophy on the side with some arts and humanities courses. I have to say, I want to start positive and then I'll go into negatives and then go positive again. It is incredibly high quality education. I really truly believe that all of my professors want the best for the students, which I know is something that you can't get everywhere. After hearing my UK friends and what they're saying about what their professors are doing, because I really think that there is a lack of... It's difficult for professors in the UK to stay passionate about their subject because the education sector is under so much strain. But I feel like at Minerva, people really genuinely enjoy teaching, and it is so nice that they are always engaging so much. They start little clubs, and there's always office hours available. They stay after every lesson to go through questions, and I really enjoy having that. And being able to have classes with only 20 students means that you really do get to gain a lot, and you really have more personal connections within the class, and it feels more like each one has its own different vibe compared to lectures where there's just so many people and it's just all eyes on the professor and there isn't really much two-way discussion. So I really am so grateful for that. Oh my gosh, it's so windy. I wonder if I should move this little grass. Yeah, okay. At the same time though, it's online, so your eyes will hurt. It is not good for your health to be on your laptop for so long. Your entire degree is pretty much on your laptop. If you don't have it, you will struggle, because that is where all of the academics is based, pretty much. In terms of the external connections that we have with each of the cities, it varies a lot. And I think that's something that I wish the university would improve. With San Francisco, we basically just had a building and everyone had to live in this building, and there wasn't like a physical university base anywhere except for the residence hall. So, oh wow, everyone is living together, so you are building a community within the university, but in terms of the city itself, there wasn't much connection. But with Taiwan, we were partnered with National Taiwan University, which is the most prestigious university in the country. So it was really incredible to be able to go into the college. We could use all of their facilities. You could study in the library. We got student discounts. We had the ID cards. You could join all of their clubs. You could join some courses to learn Mandarin, etc., etc., etc. Basically, their university was our university, and it was amazing. There were so many international students. It was such an easy city to live in, and there were like U-bikes everywhere, and so it was very cycle friendly. Food was very healthy. It was just another world after San Francisco, which felt honestly quite dangerous and a bit isolating at times. And also, with things being very expensive, it was difficult to kind of travel around as easily as if you were in Korea or in Taiwan. And same with Korea, we also had a partner university. And I am not sure if this is the same for each of the rotation cities, because I'm going to Buenos Aires next, and I don't think there is a partner university there, so I'm a little bit anxious on how we will make friends or make connections or networks within each city. I feel like how much you enjoy the country depends a lot on whether you have gone out of your way to learn the language, because there is no formal language learning course in Minerva. They don't teach you the languages of the countries that you go to. They tell you things about the city and the cultural norms, and the staff, the student life team in each city are all comprised of people from that country. And I have to say, all of them have been incredibly helpful, kind people. However, not knowing the language and not being given enough resources on how to learn the language is a major downside, especially in Korea, where people, even if they do know English, they don't want to speak English, and they would have really appreciated it if you spoke their language, which I totally understand. We're in their country. And so that did lead to feeling a little bit trapped within almost like a Minerva bubble. If you don't go out of your way, if you don't sign up for events, if you don't try and start conversations with people, or try to visit new places where you think you'll meet interesting people, if you don't do any of that, you will be trapped inside of a Minerva bubble, and you won't see anyone except other Minervans, and your life will become very much focused around these people. So for the kind of living aspect, there are some downsides, even though the staff do an incredible job of planning the events. Because there isn't a lot of coordination across the different countries, the quality does tend to vary, especially with which residence hall you get put in, or how many events they're planning, what kind of events they're planning. Like, for example, in San Francisco, the events you had to sign up for were so popular that you would be waiting on the clock until you could get a ticket, and everyone would be on the website at the same time, and the website would crash, and then you wouldn't get a place and you couldn't go. And I mean, these visits can be anything. They can be to museums, they can be to outdoor bath resort. We had this in Taiwan, and in Korea we even had one to visit the DMZ zone, which is like the borderline between North and South Korea. This was amazing. So the university does do things to immerse you, but because they aren't really, I mean, as far as I'm aware, they aren't really communicating across different countries, it is quite inconsistent in how much they're going to help you. Like in Taiwan, we were living out of a hotel, so Minerva was not responsible for kind of what was happening to some extent, or I don't know, just each place tends to have its own little rules that are different, so it takes adjusting to. Also, the location of where you're living can be very, very different. So San Francisco, we were living right in the center of the city. We were living in downtown. I was walking out of the street in the morning and I would see people taking their wedding pictures outside. It was so beautiful. And then in Taiwan, because the main residence hall was full, I got put in a hotel not even in Taipei. It was in New Taipei City in Chaobitan, which is far from the center, especially if you want to go to NTU. Then it could take me like 45 minutes every day to wait, or just to get into the middle of the city where the majority of students are living. And then with Seoul again, you had the choice of 2 different res halls, and then I managed to choose the one that was in Dongdaemun, so it was more central. You have a small amount of control over where you're living. It varies in quality a lot, so it does feel a bit like a lottery. I've heard amazing things about the Buenos Aires residence, so I mean, I can show you guys when I get there, but I'm hoping it will be good. Compared to a traditional uni, I wish I could compare it to a traditional uni, but I have never gone to another university except for this one. But from my understanding, the academics is much, much better, even though we lack facilities. So if you are a natural science major, then I know it can be very difficult to get like lab access. We had this in Taiwan, but we didn't have this in San Francisco. I think they've recently opened one, and I think there's one in Tokyo, but like it's very limited and it's difficult to get a hold of. So for practical education, it's definitely lacking compared to if you wanted to go to like an Ivy League or a Russell group. Then it depends how important facilities are for you, but as a business student, because everything is more like theory based and reading case studies, it's not as important for me to like be within the city. Although we do have assignments which are like find a local market near you and assess the economic oh my gosh, I've already forgotten my economics class. That's terrible. It's only been a few months. It was about like price wars, and I was doing the mung bean pancakes that they sell in Gwanhwamun market in Dongdaemun. I love having those kinds of assignments that are within the city, even though they can be kind of inconvenient. You're like, oh no, I've got a hill walk due for Thursday, or like I have to like go and count the number of cars passing me by next Tuesday. Like, it can be very random, but I really like that. And so I think it's important to note that it's definitely not suited for everyone. I do know that in the beginning of Minerva, there were some people who left simply because they just did not like it. And so they just switched back to traditional universities where it's a lot more predictable and stable. I think that's the main thing, because my university, Minerva, is only 20 years old. It's less than 20 years old, maybe 14 years. So it's still trying to establish itself. It's difficult because you don't get that kind of name recognition. It's not something that you can explain, for example, in like a job application when you're applying to somewhere, it's not going to have that same like eye-catching attention. It hasn't got that kind of international trustworthiness as if you went to Harvard or if you went to Oxford. So that's also something to consider. Sorry, I wanted to eat some of my sandwich. Okay. So, what am I missing? What am I not talking about? I think something I haven't talked about yet is the professional development side of things. So we have CTD, which is coaching talent development. And so there is a team at Minerva who will meet you remotely, and you'll be assigned a coach to discuss what you're interested post-graduation. And they do have you think about that very early on, which I really appreciate. But another thing that I would critique is that the amount of work they give us really means that there is not a lot of time to focus on other projects. So a lot of people who go to the university tend to have like a side, I don't know, like they might be really good at some kind of sport, or they have their own business, or maybe like me, they have a YouTube channel. And just with the amount of work that there is at Minerva on a consistent basis does make it hard to keep up with these things. There is no sort of dedicated time to do these things. So we have civic projects where you partner with a company from that country that you're staying in, and then you will do like a little internship with them, essentially with a team of other students. And you also have work study if you have financial aid, which the majority of students do. So you will have to do some kind of work for about 7 to 10 hours per week. Plus, each of your classes has about 1 to 2 hours of pre-class work for each lesson. And each lesson is 1.5 hours, and you will have 6 of them a week, I think. And then we don't have exams, thank God, but we have assignments, which are like long written pieces of work which you have to complete. There are about 3 to 4 for each course, and the style really does depend on what you're doing. So I know for like AH, some of them might be like, one of them was like a Dear Data project. It was really interesting, and you had to collect one piece of data. I know like one of my classmates did one that was like counting the number of times I think about God, and then you needed to create a kind of graph. You could draw it out or something in a creative way, and that was the assignment, and then you would do a written piece next to it. So that's very interesting. And yeah, I think I've covered basically everything I want to say. If you have more questions, then please let me know, because I'm sure there are people who go to traditional unis and they have all sorts of questions about how this works and that works, but I don't know how to answer them because I've never been to a traditional uni before. I will say I absolutely adore my university, and I know that it is not for everyone. It's definitely a choice, and you know, it takes getting used to moving countries every 4 months and applying for different visas, and you know, you kind of get into the routine of it, even though that sounds a bit crazy to say. I'm entering my junior year next, my 3rd year, so I'll need to see how my thoughts change over time as I'm kind of beginning the end of my degree, if that makes sense. Yeah, it was really interesting to talk about this. I hope you liked it. I have left my sandwich go completely cold and I'm so upset. So I'm going to end this and eat it. I have my library book. It's Hopscotch by Julio Cortázar. I think he's Argentinian. I wanted something that was either Argentinian or based in Buenos Aires, so I have this book. So I'm gonna read that and eat my cold sandwich. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for a video. So I hope you like this. I will answer any questions that you have, or you can send me them on Instagram too. and I'll check them once I get back from my lovely trip. Bye! I just watched the video back and I realized it's an absolutely terrible angle to film from. You can see my double chin. I'm really disappointed, but I've also finished recording it now, so you're just gonna have to watch and enjoy.